Hey guys, it's Bear. It is Saturday, January 25th, 2020. I just got off a shift. It's a really long shift. I'm really tired, but I tend to come home and kind of check notifications, emails, and stuff like that. And I like to check in on the YouTube channel just in case there was like any kind of comments or anything. I don't tend to get a lot of questions on this channel or requests or anything like that, but I do sometimes get, thank yous and stuff like that, and that's always nice to hear. It's good to know that I'm not just talking to like space, you know. I did have a request several weeks ago now about how to ease like dysphoria and the unhappiness that comes with it. I've put a lot of thought into that, and I'm not quite ready to do a video. But I got home today and I had a comment that I felt the need to respond to. I have a lot of thoughts on this. So the comment on my video, Fear and Anxiety About Being Trans. This reads, I have to be honest and totally real. Please help me to understand and educate myself about why all of a sudden my stepdaughter, been her mom since she was 7, has decided to transition into a male. We had absolutely no clue growing up that this was ever an issue. She was always a girly girl. She is the middle child and did always go out of her way to be the center of attention, but not in a bad way, just very dramatic. I would have never guessed that she wanted to be a male. When she was 17 or 18, she told us she was gay, and we were 100% behind her. But a year and a half later, her cousin came out as trans. She moved in with this cousin and now claims she is trans. I am so confused and I don't know what to do or how to be supportive in her lifestyle change, but still want to be the mom who wants to protect my daughter from the evil in the world. P.S. Thank you for the video, and I absolutely mean no disrespect. I'm just trying to understand. Okay, so, first of all, the fact that you're on YouTube watching transgender videos means that you are making an effort and not just shutting out your child, so good for you. I think a lot of people just go straight into like denial, and like there was no indication, you always acted like this, I had no idea this was coming. And I think that's one of the stages of acceptance, for sure it is one of the stages of acceptance is denial. So I don't know if you've already gone through that and now you're trying to think about opening up and doing some research and stuff like that, but either way, you're at this point and that's a step in the right direction. Definitely keep doing your research. There are a lot of different ways to be transgender, and there's a lot of places on the LGBTQ spectrum that your child may be kind of experimenting with. And experimentation is how we learn, and that's okay. So my first response to your questions and your comment is that you misgender your child the entire time. And that's kind of one of the first ways to start supporting them and accepting things within yourself. You don't indicate how long ago it's been since they came out as trans. So I don't know if it was like yesterday and you can't wrap your head around it yet, or if it's been like 6 months, in which case you should be trying to use their correct pronouns. As an admin in a Facebook transgender support group, I know that parents that post this kind of thing where they misgender the child the entire time, they get really attacked. So be careful if you go that route and you start trying to reach out in support groups and stuff like that. If you aren't ready to go to he, him pronouns, or your child is not ready for that, best to go to a gender neutral pronoun and stick with they for right now and see where they end up. Because it may not actually be with a binary pronoun, So think about that. That's kind of your first, your first step should be, have you talked with your child? Have you discussed their preferred name and their preferred pronouns? Like I said, I don't know how long ago they came out to you as trans, or how long they've been out to their social circle and stuff like that. But, obviously they've come out to you. And you probably were shocked and probably weren't ready to talk about it yet. So have you had that discussion? How did that go? Did your kids say, I want to be called, male name, or a different name from my birth name, and I prefer they, them, or he, him pronouns? If so, start trying to update yourself on those pronouns. Side note, easiest thing to do, instead of referring to your child in the past pronoun, is to refer to them in their current pronoun. This trips up a lot of people, and they just get like really confused with what they're trying to say. I was having a conversation with a coworker today who was talking about their trans friend and kept referring to them as, well, he's he now, but he was she then, and whatever. It's like, just stick to he. Just stick to what they prefer now. You'll just be much more comfortable. So that's kind of for everybody, or for you moving forward. Next step, after you've had that discussion about, do you identify fully as male? Do you want he, him pronouns? Are you thinking maybe you're non-binary or gender fluid, or kind of in between the two, or you might go back and forth? What pronouns do you prefer? What name do you prefer? Next step would be small experiments. Starting out with things like maybe a haircut. If they were female at birth, they may have longer hair. Maybe time for a shorter haircut. See how they feel. See if feeling masculine makes them feel good. If feeling masculine and being gendered in public as masculine, like if somebody's like, oh, sir, excuse me, sir, if that makes you feel really good, that's indicative of the fact that you are moving in the right direction. All right. Another one would be clothes shopping. I'll never forget, I lost an instructor of mine in early January. Actually, it's right about the time of his death. I had not come out as transgender yet, and it was 2012, actually. I came out in 2014. And my mom, I was heartbroken. This person was a really big mentor in my life. And my mom called me, and she was like, what do you need? And I said, okay, I want to wear a suit and a tie to his funeral, and she said, okay. And this is like 2 years before I even came out. And she said, okay, I know a department store where I shop for your dad's ties. Let's go there. And on the way in, I said, look, I know this is awkward, but I have been experimenting with more masculine styles. I really like it. I want to wear, a female suit that I had been bought, blazer and everything, but I want to wear a tie with it, and I'm sorry if that's uncomfortable for you, but it's something that it's really important to me. And, all credit to my mom. She was a real trooper during that shopping trip. I was not in a good place. This person was really important to me. And she showed me how to pick out, a tie. She's like, okay, you start with a shirt, and then you go over to the ties, and you start putting the tie on the shirt and see what matches really well with it. And she was very supportive the whole time, So years later, my sister took me shopping after I had come out, and right before my top surgery, so I was still wearing a binder. My sister took me shopping for men's clothing, and it's just like, it's an overwhelming task replacing your wardrobe and trying to figure out a whole new set of rules and stuff like that. But having somebody with you there to be like, okay, look at this and look at how this fits, and to ease the anxiety of going into the dressing room and to tell you look good or you look handsome when you come out wearing new clothes, it's amazing. So try those little experiments. Sorry I got really personal there for a minute, but that was a really important thing for me. I'll never forget my first haircut after I had come out as trans. Now I was a really gender non-conforming female. Not a lot of people were surprised when I came out as a trans male, and I already had a short haircut for ages, but I needed a new haircut to kind of like just make a physical change to my appearance that people could, maybe like see a physical change. Because like I said, when I came out before hormones, there was no change. People were not seeing anything drastically different. And I went to my hairstylist at the time. I had seen her maybe twice, and she said, "Okay, what are we doing today?" And I just said, "I need something drastically different and masculine." And I told her, I started testosterone for transition to male, like a week ago. I had had like one shot, and she cried a little bit. She hugged me, and then we didn't even discuss what kind of style or anything like that. She was so supportive. Um, it's overwhelming. Again, how many options there are and how many decisions there are to make and stuff. And she turned the chair around and she gave me my first like fade, and it's it's amazing what that does for you. Just seeing something different, and then again going out and having somebody address you as sir, or in a masculine way. So try that. Try some small experiments, and then the last thing that I would say, and possibly the most important thing that I'll say, is to stay open-minded. You indicated in this comment that your child has gone through a couple of different phases, and that you're confused about this phase. It may be based on the fact that your child knows somebody that has gone in this direction. That could just be that your kid was already feeling that way, and they got kind of a little bit of a boost. That happened with me. I had a trans female friend that was like, "Look, you need to really think about, where you're at and what you actually want to do," and that gave me a huge boost, and it was very supportive. So yeah, maybe the influence of the cousin coming out as trans is important, but you got to remember that being trans isn't contagious. It's not like, "Ooh, I know somebody that's trans, now suddenly I'm trans." There's probably been some underlying feelings for a while. You say that your child was always a girly girl, and always wanted attention and stuff like that. That can also be a matter of compensating. You feel so much pressure to behave and dress a certain way that you go like hyper into that mode. I know that a lot of trans people do that. Not everybody was like me, where they were like very masculine and then came out as trans masculine. Some people like they're really trying to compensate, trying to stifle down those feelings, and then they make this major shift. That happens. It's totally actually very normal. But you say that she had come out as gay, and now they're coming out as trans, and it's like, that's very normal too. A lot of times people experiment with their sexuality before they start to experiment with their gender identity. That's certainly true for me. I thought that my masculine feelings and stuff like that meant that I was like a butch lesbian, and I tried dating a couple of girls. I got into a serious relationship with a girl, and I ended up hurting her really badly, because it's like, I'm not attracted to women, in fact, I'm attracted to men, so maybe that lesbian phase, was just leading them into the trans phase. Maybe they are attracted to women. Maybe they're a straight trans man. It's hard to say. Maybe, they're gonna try being trans and be like, what? Actually, I think I'm just non-binary, or I'm just like maybe gender fluid, and I like to dress masculine some days, and other days I don't. Maybe I'm a tomboy. It's okay for it to be a phase, and I've talked about that in previous videos. Like, a lot of people want to call things like a phase in a way of kind of like discrediting it, and it's absolutely not. We learn by experimenting, and as human beings, we learn by experimenting, and sometimes we learn by failing. That's not really the right word in this case, but like, think about learning to walk, think about learning to ride a bike. You had to get up and fall down and get up and fall down a whole lot of times, and then you moved on to the next phase of learning. Same thing here. Maybe your child was just learning in those previous phases what direction they wanted to go into, and what will make them truly happy and truly comfortable. Again, maybe this is another phase of experimentation where they're going to be like, "Oh, okay, I thought I was this, but actually it's a little bit of a different story." I know that's rough to go through as a supporting family member or as a friend, trying to reorient your pronouns and then having to switch to different pronouns or what have you. But that's what it takes to be a supporting person, is flexibility and support and communication. Again, going back to my original response, communication. What is making you happy? How are you feeling? And what can I do to help? Also, urge your child to be patient with you and firm with you. Urge them to have that open line of communication, including correcting you. If they really want to stick firmly to, whatever pronoun and you can't quite get it, urge them to remind you and not kind of slide backwards. A lot of people they don't like confrontation, and that's okay. Unfortunately, we do have to try to teach you how to be supportive. So urge your child to have that open line of communication. Long video, a lot of important things. Thank you for commenting, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Good luck.